see, I didn't know that. It's actually, like, there it is. Answer text. Where's the code?
Hey, good morning.
All right. I got you. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, well, me too in the summertime, that's for sure.
Someone steal anybody else?
I'm trying to run the meeting. You don't want to make it.
Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I will see. I will see.
I can call you on my way.
Okay. Okay, I might have to call.
It's probably every email. It's probably in there somewhere.
If I can. But there should be.
I think it's safe for 30
Okay.
days.
Okay, okay.
A lot of people need to sign.
Okay.
Hey there. How are you?
So I'm gonna just connect to the board and I'm gonna use your laptop for the presentation.
Use mine.
There was no one to debate.
Go off the Google slide presentation.
Yes, the one you emailed me.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yes. It is. And hopefully, as opposed to this one, which I expect.
I'm sure you are.
We all elaborate for our text. I'm waiting. I think this is more currently to show you indicators. This is what we each year, we didn't fill this in first. Yeah. I know, it's why I said today, you got your Mike Archer training, you got this discussion, you got a contract discussion, you got all that. So it doesn't want to be, okay. I was getting ready to conversate. Where you at? once I saw this, I felt better. The lack of estimate. It also leads to a little training.
Well, you know, I'm like 5 minutes on the elevator.
I'll give you that. Yeah, to fit on, I said that. That would have been fun. I thought this is what you meant. I've seen that, but it's good to have.
I couldn't turn down the offer, you know?
I told you back in month for coffee. All right. Well, it's 9:01, guys. Go back call this meeting of the Henry County School Board to order. Mrs. Meeks, would the roll call, please?
Mr. Alford?
Here.
Ms. Berniger? Here. Mrs. Duran? Here. Mr. Bradley?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Ms. Wicklow? Here. Ms. Cochran? Here. Ms. Patel?
have two members that have submitted requests to participate virtually, and we would need to have a motion to permit that, and then a second. A motion by Mrs. Durden to support Mrs. Whitlow and Mr. Pender participating virtually. Do we have a second?
Second.
I think Mr. Hardy beat you, Mr. Hardy. So we'll go with Mr. Hardy. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Then next we have the approval of the agenda. Is there any changes to be made, or is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Chairman, I'm going to approve the teacher statement.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Hardy. Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Durden. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. You don't mind?
Yes.
Okay. All right, unanimous. Certainly want to welcome our visitors that are here today. Look forward to doing recognitions and celebrations of you all. And always happy to have you here on a nice summer morning. We'll ask that you all please stand. We'll do a moment of silence and we'll do the pledge. Mr. Alden, if you lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Public comment. Let me get my little instructions here. As I understand, Ms. Meeks and Ms. Easley, we have one time of public comment. Okay. All right. So, the ground rules. For matters presented by the public, this is the time for public comment. That means we're here to listen to you, not to engage in a question and answer period or debate. On arrival at the podium, please state your name, your subject matter, and the district in which you live. By coming to the podium, you have agreed that you will exhibit respect for the board and its members, as well as the staff and students of Henry County Public Schools. You will receive the same consideration from the board, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And I believe it's Miss Mary Martin signed up. All right, the floor is yours, Miss Martin.
Good morning to all the board members. Thank you all for having us here. This is one of our great American freedoms that we celebrate today on D-Day, that we can all be here and speak freely. It's been over 20 years since I sat on the board, but I have never stopped being a call away from a parent, a student, a grandparent, or a teacher that had questions or needed some assistance. It's just who I am. I have found over the years that you do not have to be elected to be effective. I've had numerous calls concerning fundraisers and stuff that's going on, and I think there's a misconception on a lot of it, that it's not school-sanctioned fundraisers, it's people raising money for their travel teams. And I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes in, especially with the money boards that's out, where you put your name on a day of the month, and that's how much money you donate. There seems to be some lack of transparency on exactly where that money goes, who is accountable for it, and what's it gonna be used for. Now, with travel teams, that's not gonna have anything to do with y'all, but I know this has failed with y'all, because it's failed with me, and I know several of y'all have been called. So I think there needs to be clarification, if you're gonna put this out there, that, this is not a school-sanctioned fundraiser. This is a private thing for a travel team. And with the money board, I guess people can do that if they want to, but as much as you get hacked on Facebook with those scams out there, I wouldn't dream of throwing my money through a cash app to somebody on Facebook that may or may not be who I think it is. And that's very easy to happen nowadays. To me, fundraisers, I have 3 great-grandchildren in the Henry County school system. I have one at Meadowview, one at Carvel, one at Brew Mason. So, believe me, I know fundraisers. To me, it's when I participate in fundraisers, I'm buying something I can see. And I know exactly who I'm paying for. And I know what it's useful. So like, you know, I buy a candle or a book, or recently from Melody's and wonderful caramel popcorn. But to me, that's a fundraiser. And I think that this is something, I really believe this is where it's just a lack of communication and transparency. But the schools need to be real clear that this is not us, it's not a part of us. I don't know why there's that confusion, but it is. I know years ago, we had the same issue with fundraisers, and then it was because there was so many of them. Because, you know, parents and grandparents, you want to buy something for your child. You know, you want to participate, you want to help. But there's a limit, you know, on how many times a year you can do it. And me, like I say, I got them coming from 3 schools, but, you know, everybody can afford to buy a little something, so, that's the concern that I'm being approached with, is clarification with the money boards. Who am I sending the money to? Who's accountable for it? And what is it being used for? And I don't think that's at all unreasonable to ask if you want to do cash fundraising. That's just common sense, especially in nowadays of hacking and scams. So I know, and most of it's for athletics. I'm probably one of the most pro-athletic people you'll ever meet in your life. Sports are great for children. I encourage them to start playing when they're this big, because it's wonderful. It gives them a purpose. It shows them teamwork and sportsmanship. And there are a lot of kids, the only way they don't have a college education is playing sports. So I'm not anti-sports. I'm not anti-fundraising. I'm just trying to help people understand, and for the people that call you, that have called me, that seems to be what I think, that what I glean from it is that there's a confusion that they think this is the schools doing this cash fundraising thing, and it's not, because I've never known the schools to do a cash fundraising thing. I mean, the Booster Club, you can donate to, and this, that, and that, but I've never known a particular school to say, hey, give us money, and just put it out on Facebook. That does generally happen, so. I hope that this helps y'all clarify it a little better to the people that call you, you know, and let's get this thing under control, but not hold back kids that want to participate in sports, because that's important. Thank y'all for your time.
All right, we are up to student recognitions, and first we have Ms. Milner. Oh, okay. Well, student board members, you're up. Got it. I like changes.
Even though I know you guys weren't expecting it, good morning. Henry County students were invited to participate in the 2024 Piedmont Area Young Writers Contest, sponsored by the Piedmont Area Chapter of the Virginia State Literacy Association. Students were allowed to submit one entry in one of the following categories: short fiction K through 12, dictated short fiction K through 1st, poetry K through 12, dictated poetry K through 1st, and an essay grades 4 through 12. Students from Meadowview Elementary and Mount Olivet Elementary participated and represented Henry County in each category. Henry County students were first, second, or third place winners in the categories of dictated poetry, poetry, and short fiction. So I want to say congratulations to all of our winners. From Meadowview, River Nestor is a second grade student and received third place in poetry. Oliver Crowder is a kindergarten student and received second place in dictated poetry. short fiction.
Smile, please, baby.
And Hayden Mena is a fourth grade student and received third place in poetry.
Good morning, everyone. Henry County Public Schools will invite to participate in the 2024 Virginia School Boards Association Student Art Contest. Students' original artwork was selected to represent HCPS at each level, elementary, middle, and high. Judging took place at the Blue Ridge Regional Network Forum on April 17th. Henry County was well represented by aesthetically pleasing pieces created by our talented art students. At this time, I would like to recognize the elementary, middle, and high school representatives. Scarlett Byers is a student at Ashton Elementary School. Corbin Littles from FC Middle School. And Emma Metzger from Magnetism.
Thank all of you, and we welcome you to stick around with us. We also welcome you if you need to leave, we understand that as well. Next on our agenda, we have information of the agenda, we have division literacy plan, and then we have our presenter will be Dr. Molly. So if folks have some time to head out and get on the lengthy elevator. I gotta make it fun, you know that. Here we go.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm excited to come before you guys today and share the good work that our division is doing to help our students ensure that they're proficient readers. As you know, the Virginia Literacy Act was passed last year and set up many parameters for divisions across the state of Virginia to ensure that our students have level playing field and can achieve reading proficiency. So I wanted to share with you where we are, and this is PALS data. So PALS is our phonological awareness literacy square that we do each year. And you can see in 2019, we had 21.8% of our students below benchmark in reading. Of course, we know what happened in 2020. So 2021, we had quite a dramatic jump there. But as you can see, we're trending downward again, and less of our students are identified as below benchmark readers. So our hopes are that this plan and our efforts will help that trend to continue in the downward course there. The first part of the plan that we had to come up with was a literacy vision. Now, of course, our vision is that all kids are good readers. So we worked together to create some more academic language around that, and this is what we came up with for our literacy vision. Henry County students will effectively read, write, listen, and speak for many purposes in varied settings. Our teachers will use high-quality instructional materials aligned with evidence-based literacy practices to foster students' growth in word knowledge and reading comprehension, developing the ability to think creatively and critically across all disciplines. Our community's focus on literacy will provide all students with the necessary tools to positively impact their world and ensure a successful future. So we're hoping that that vision being at the forefront will help as we lead the work and do the work that we need to do to help that reading proficiency. So the next part of the plan was how are we going to get our teachers to be trained in the science of reading? And thankfully, Mrs. Milner and Dr. Durham were super proactive in that last year. They got our elementary school reading specialists started in letters training. So letters is language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling, and it's really comprehensive training. It's not a curriculum or lesson plans that our teachers use, but instead, it's a pedagogy, a way of teaching reading and the science behind how kids learn to read and what the things are that we should do to promote those things for our students. So they give some neat little ways that we can think of to do some procedures in the classroom, but it's not a scripted program, just the why behind what we should do there. So this year, all of our kindergarten through third grade teachers, our special education teachers, and our EL teachers in the elementary schools took Letters Volume 1, and we had great reviews of that. It's super work intensive, but thankfully our all-in tutoring budget helped to provide stipends for our teachers for going above and beyond and taking this coursework, and then they also received recertification points for that. So also our reading specialists who were trained the year before, they did Letters Volume 2. And that concentrates a little bit more on the reading comprehension and the writing pieces and advanced word study. So that was super beneficial, and we enjoyed that training this year and have employed many of those strategies this year. So for next year, we want to keep the momentum going. Our kindergarten through 3 teachers who took Letters Volume 1 will take Volume 2 next year. Also, our new kindergarten through 3rd grade teachers and all of our 4th and 5th grade teachers will get the opportunity to take Volume 1 this coming year. We'll also carry that over into our special education teachers and our EL teachers who are in the middle school. Our preschool teachers are going to do early childhood letters, so that'll give them those foundations to make good gains for our preschool kids. And then our 2 new reading specialists in the middle schools are taking letters and doing some required modules that the VDOE has released. So that's happening next year. In addition, middle school training is mandated because the VLA is from kindergarten to 8th grade right now, so it spans that grade band too. The state has made modules based on the science of reading that our middle school teachers will take. There are 2 different kinds of modules. There are ones for the English language arts teachers and ones for content teachers, because all teachers are reading teachers, and so to be able to know some strategies to go in and help struggling readers will hopefully help with our content there too. And Mrs. Janet Lewis will be helping lead some of that training with our middle schools next year. The next part of the plan was, what are we going to use for high quality instructional materials? So the Department of Education put together a list of approved materials that we could use for reading. They vetted those materials and then said, okay, divisions, you all have to adopt something so that we know you're using high quality instructional materials. Thankfully in Henry County, we've been using Open Court for our phonics, and we've had Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's Into Reading program already employed here. So we're going to continue using those resources, and our adoption isn't up for 2 more years, but we fit into that umbrella and can continue with those things. We have things also that we've purchased that are approved, including Reading A to Z, IXL, and our Lexia 4, 5, and Power Up. For interventions this year, our reading teams put into place the University of Florida's U-Fly Phonics program. So all of our kids who needed intervention have small group U-Fly instruction, and reading teams were trained on those, and we got rave reviews of those things as well. We also purchased some Haggerty for phonemic awareness support, and we'll continue to use Read 180 and Code, which is the old System 44, for our intervention. And we have those things in place for our special populations as well. They say, okay, so you've trained your teachers in the science of reading, you're using high quality instructional materials, how are you going to know if it's working? So we'll continue with our student assessment. We've always given the PALS, and I showed you the graph from PALS results in years past. This year they're adapting it just a little bit, they're calling it VALS, Virginia Language and Literacy Screener. It's going to be a little bit more in depth as far as the assessment than what we've had in the past. But we'll give those the same time to our preschool through 3rd grade students, beginning, middle, and end of the year. We'll continue using MAP as we've done in the past. We also do a developmental spelling analysis where it's just like an old school spelling test, but with words that will help teachers decide, okay, Liz might need help with short vowels or things like that to help us make a more prescriptive path for students and meet them where they are. Our older grades will continue to use our CIP benchmarks and our reading SOL test also to measure our growth. A new thing that comes with the Virginia Literacy Act is that students that are determined as at risk according to that VOWS assessment, they'll have a reading plan now. So our reading specialists, their teachers, principal, and their parents will come together to talk about, hey, what are some things that we can put in place to help this child reach reading proficiency? So we're excited about that, and our reading specialists are looking forward to that. They're going to help with that progress monitoring. They're going to help with teachers in their instructional planning each week. So we have lots of support set up for our teachers and for our students who are not reading on grade level there. Also involving our stakeholders, of course, in elementary school, I think we do a great job with family literacy nights and bringing our parents in and keeping that at the forefront. So we'll continue to do those things and posting things that parents can use to do with their children at home if they want to help. So just keeping them in the loop and making sure that they have the resources that they need to help their student at home as well. So reading is freedom for the mind and laughter for the soul, and our goal is to make sure that our kids get that freedom of the mind and the laughter for the soul, and that they are proficient readers. We hope that this plan will lead the work that we continue to do, and that we'll see huge growth from our students.
Questions, comments from the board?
You know, I just make a quick comment in that, that we're taking an aggressive approach to our reading. Several months ago, I asked questions about our literacy program, and all of us in the room know if we don't get them by grade, I would say grade 3 now.
Yes, sir.
You know, they're gonna struggle. So, glad to see that we put the work in. I guess my other comment or question too, looking at, and I know it hasn't been determined yet, our new assessment as far as accreditation through DEOE, and I noticed some of the things you highlighted emphasizing growth. I assume that a lot of this would be or align with what ultimately we're gonna have to do as far as accountability when it comes to whether or not we're credit or not.
Yes, sir.
You are correct. So the revised accountability system is slated to take effect for the 25-26 school year, and there will be a growth component that is factored in differently than what BDOE is currently factoring growth at. So you will see an emphasis placed on individual student growth and a student comparing their performance to just themselves year to year. So individual growth will be much more of a factor than it has been in the past.
Anything else, or do we have?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say, I attended a literacy parent student program, PTO meeting at Drew Mason and Rich Acres this past year, and our house was almost packed because of the parents and the teachers and the students really enjoyed that program. And I think we are on the right track here. I know there'll be public discussion, but Mr. Chairman, I move to approval of the addition of the literacy plan.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Grab. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Online we go.
Mrs. Smith, both of them.
Okay, so unanimous. Thank you very much. So we are up to school year calendar amendments. Mrs. Easley. That's right.
in our effort to assist with improving attendance, we created a magnet that we're hoping that everyone will receive well. Everyone should have one at their computers. Families can easily identify the dates when school is not in session here, and end of my weekdays, potential makeup days, and the 3-hour early release for students. We're hoping that if parents can easily see that, maybe they can book appointments on those days instead of, trying to figure it out with the rubric that we have. On the lower portion of the magnet, families may also track any missed days that their student improves. And an explanation is also available, explains the missed days pathways. So at the 5th day, there is the explanation, the 7th day, and then at the 10th day. And they can mark that on this magnet. Each student will receive a magnet at either back to school night or on the first day of school. The magnets are not limited to one per family. We purchase magnets for every student and every division staff member as well. And we'll get those out, we'll deploy those out to the school in the summer. We are hopeful that the calendar magnets will be utilized to assist with improved attendance going forward. We're very excited about these, and we hope that you are as well. Any questions?
Well, I'll make a comment here too, because I picked up one when we had our meeting, and I carried it home, and my wife saw it, and she was like, "Oh, this is great, are all the kids gonna get one of these?" And I said, "Yes." So, been one person I know well. I put it on my refrigerator.
Very important person too.
Yeah, very important person. It's a good idea.
I'll just echo you, I loved the idea when I heard it, so I think it was really well. Any other comments, questions, et cetera? Good, all right. And we are, thank you, Ms. Ely. We are up to federal title grant review presentation, Dr. Doug. I'll go ahead and apologize for having y'all make a motion and approval on agenda item 1. I'm just used to approving claims.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In your consent agenda, you'll see you've got several federal grants for your approval, and I'd like to take a second and just go over those grants with you and let you know kind of an overview of what's in each one of those federal grants this morning. So Henry County Public Schools does receive federal grant funding from Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. And each one of those grants are specific to what they can support and fund for the school divisions. Title I's our big one. We get about $2.5 million from Title I, and it's designed to provide supplemental funding for our divisions and to help us with our low income or at-risk students, to help make sure that they're on the level playing field and they can access our curriculum and instruction and get all the necessary information that they need so they can achieve just like students who don't come from families like that. So it's really to help us with our low income families. But all of our schools in Henry County receive Title I funding, so we use the funds to support all of our schools and all of our students. And it's designed to supplement, not supplant. So if it's something that you're required to provide by state law, by Code of Virginia, or something that we're supposed to provide for students, we can't use Title I to pay for it. Title I is like the sprinkle on the ice cream cone. It's the extra that we can use to help provide extra support for our students. And we use Title I to help us pay for extra reading specialists, because the state doesn't give us enough money to pay for one reading specialist per elementary school. So we are going to use that to help provide supplemental reading specialists, so all of our elementary schools can have some reading specialists. We use it to provide instructional coaches for all of our elementary schools, and we use it to provide paraprofessionals, instructional reading paraprofessionals. We have a Title I curriculum facilitator salary in there. We use it to provide some preschool instructional materials, and we also are required to set aside part of that funding for parent involvement and to support our homeless students who might be experiencing homelessness. So those two are required to be set aside. So lots of money, lots of salary, lots of folks, because we know that people can really help our students in doing those smaller class sizes, and or not some class sizes, but small groups can help to provide some instruction there. So then we use Title II. You can see it's quite a lot less, about $329,000 from Title II. And Title II is used to help make make sure that our teachers do meet the qualifications. We help teachers get certification with this money. They either have to take courses, they have to recertify, they might have to take a praxis test. We can use this funding to help pay for that, to help teachers get to access their qualifications. We've used it to help qualify principals. We're using it to help teachers become reading specialists, or we've got some administrators in the administrative programs and teachers who are becoming administrators and getting and helping them. So it's used for professional development and to grow our teachers and to grow our administrative staff. So we use that a lot for professional learning. And it's all geared to, if we improve our professional learning and improve our professionals, we're going to improve academic achievement. So in Title II, currently what we have, we've got professional development, materials and supplies, and refreshments for our workshops that we have. We're providing tuition reimbursement for certification, recertification, and obtaining licensure. And we're providing for some assistance for teachers who are enrolled in the iTeach program. So we're helping teachers get access to that license and trying to grow our own and get some more teachers that are qualified to work for the New County Public Schools. So it's a great little pot of money that we can use to support our employees. Then Title III is for language instruction for EL and immigrant students, and that's, we get about $48,000 there. And once again, it's to provide supplemental services that can help support our EL students so that they can achieve. So we use this strictly for our EL programming, and we've used it for our EL family engagement activities. We have to provide materials and supplies. We've given employees stipends to stay and to work and to provide these engagement activities for our EL families. A portion of the Hispanic EL community engagement specialist salary will come out of that. Title III, we provide professional development for our EL teachers and tutors using this funding, and we provide some instructional materials and programming for our EL teachers and tutors to use there. And then the last one that we received is Title IV. Title IV is one of our newer ones. It's been around a couple of years, but it's one of the newest ones we've received. And then we get about $198,000 from Title IV, and it goes to provide supplemental funds to help academic achievement, but it goes to the other route, and it's saying that we want you to use the funds to help give kids a well-rounded education. Maybe they'll entice them to come to school and to be involved in other things, and to provide a safe and healthy environment, and to help give them some technology that improves digital literacy. So we want to make sure that we increase the graduation rates, reduce chronic absenteeism, and provide a safe and healthy environment. So it's kind of like not necessarily focused on reading, math, and writing, but how can we provide well-rounded education for students. So you'll see in our Title IV, what we use it, we try to pay for our AP testing fees for anybody who wants to take that AP test, so that any student who wants to participate in that, the money and paying for that test is not a barrier. We provide professional development for our AP teachers, and then we use it for some fine arts things. It helps the students who can be involved in fine arts that will make them to come to school, giving them things that they can participate in. So we use it for auditorium, lighting, and sound system upgrades for our middle and high school. If you want to know about all that, Mr. Scott can tell you all about that, so he worked with me on this one. We've used some instructional supplies and materials and travel expenses in our competition dues for the HCPS robotics team. Because our whole mission is that we can get kids involved in something that they would want to come to school and that inspires them and wants them to be there. So we use it to provide that well-rounded education. And then we also use it to provide a safe and healthy environment. And in our Title IV budget this year, we are upgrading some security cameras and exterior door locks. We've used it for interior door locks in the past. So just making sure that we have a safe and healthy environment with our Title. Now, it doesn't pay for all of that, but I think Mr. Scott uses it, blends this with other funding from the state so we can pay for these upgrades. And then we also use it for effective technology, use of technology. So we work with Mrs. Fulcher in the technology department, and we send 9 media specialists and a STEM coordinator to the Virginia Society for Technology and Education Conference, the VISTE conference, and they come back and we support teachers and provide training and share technology information and updates with our teachers. So that's how we use the Title IV technology. And that's a lot, and that's all for our title grants that we received. And I'm here to answer any questions, and I have folks in the room that can help answer some things if you need to. Yes.
Personal comment, the amount of paperwork.
You know this.
partnership with a private school is? Like, because some of them, yes, some of them no with building private schools in place.
That's a great question, and Mrs. Miller and I both have been through quite the extensive training on that, and just actually participated in that just a month or two ago. It's equitable services, that's what it's called, and we're required by the federal law to reach out to our private schools in that area to see if they would like to participate, because the idea is that these are students who live in Henry County, so that this is their money too. So what we do is we reach out to Carlisle and any private school in our surrounding area to see if they want to participate. We send a letter, and we say, this is, we're getting X amount of funds, you're eligible to participate, and then they tell us whether they want to or not. Now, they have to jump through a couple of hoops as well. It's not just, we don't just say, here's money. They have to make sure that they are using the money for students who are at risk or low income too, so they have to provide that documentation to us that they have X amount of students who are at risk. And so oftentimes they don't, Carlisle has not participated in Title I because they don't have a lot of lower income students that would qualify. So, but they do participate in Title II and Title III, because you don't have to have that documentation. It's for all students. So they do oftentimes participate in Title II and Title III. So we are in partnership with them, and they do give a portion of the funds. Good question, and that's a lot. Is it a question?
Questions?
Well, I'll make a comment. I gotta make. No, really, you explained this process because now we don't have to worry about listening to me under consent, because I talked to Mr. Martin under the consent agenda. I wanted just to share, because the public needs to know what opportunities and how we are providing the resources for our kids. And you did an excellent job in describing that, and as a board, for us to endorse that, I think it again speaks volumes as to what we want to do to ensure that our students are being successful and getting every opportunity as any other student in this country. So thank you.
Well, we are up to the consent agenda where I'll pick it myself and you can probably make a motion. Is there anything that anyone wants to pull out individually, or do you all want to approve the consent agenda as a block? It is like yellow.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
Motion by Ms. Sacker, second by Mr. Walker with enthusiasm. And all those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right. I like the double hands. So, yeah, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So, as I move through to get to the action agenda, let's see here. Still. Our first item is the Information Security Program Plan. Mrs. Fulton.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I want to share with you our information security program plan that we've developed. There are an increasing number of cybersecurity problems all across Virginia. Our current environment is that cybersecurity is bad and it's getting worse. We've had in the U.S., it's the fastest growing crime in the U.S. right now, and it has doubled from the previous year. There were 1,537 breaches affecting K-12 and higher ed this past year. Hackers are motivated by money, they're sophisticated and ruthless. These are usually international crime operatives, and they are targeting students and teachers. So we feel like it's our job, we must defend our school district's digital information. And I want to clarify something. An incident is a security event that compromises the integrity, confidentiality, or availability of an information asset. In other words, it's a potential exposure. But a breach is an incident that results in the confirmed disclosure, not just a potential exposure, of data to an unauthorized party. So we have some existing defenses. We have hardware and software solutions. You're all familiar with KnowBe4. We have the training for our people so they not to click on things so that we don't get hacked. And then we also do vulnerability scans that can identify weaknesses in our network so that we know how to remediate those. But we do have gaps in our response. It's easy to get too reliant on technical solutions, and we probably don't have enough written procedures in case someone is absent or leaves suddenly, and we have a lack of management tools. So we decided that we needed to make a more comprehensive and dynamic system to defend against the emerging cyber issues. So we started working on an information security program plan. We developed a committee at the beginning of the school year. We used national best practices. It was customized for Henry County Public Schools, and it was flexible enough to respond to current and emerging threats. And this is what it was made of. We met 8 times. It was not just our IT people. There were other people from the district, because cybersecurity is not just in IT, it affects all of us. We use national standards, and I have these links, so if you want to go back and click on the links and see where our information comes from and how we were guided. And then we were guided by Delaware Strategies, which you approved earlier in the year for their assistance in helping us develop this. It's a comprehensive plan. It's made of 3 components: tactics, which are policies and instruction for what we need to do based on the national standards from the previous slide; training, delivering professional development to ensure our staff and students are the human firewalls, and that's what they're known for; and technology, implementing practical, relevant, and affordable defenses. If formally adopted by the board, our next steps will be to continue to communicate the plan to relevant committee members, identify programming gaps, prioritize new tactics, training, and technologies, and to track and manage our successes. And our desired end of state is to have continuous improvement process for cybersecurity. So you have an actual copy of the information security plan in the executive content, and Dr. Blake Lewis has already shared that with you in an earlier board frame. So hopefully you had a chance to look at that. It is kind of lengthy and it is kind of technical. But I'll try to answer any questions that you have about that. Then it is recommended that the school board approve the information security program.
We have a month.
Move that we approve the information security program plan.
Alright, have a motion by Mr. Gravitt, second by Mr. Walker. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Double hands, there we go. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And we are up to approval of purchase of AV equipment and upgrades for middle schools, also.
In order to sustain a 21st century model learning environment, upgrades are needed to improve the sound and video quality of the middle school auditoriums. This will greatly enhance student drama, choral, and band performances, as well as school-wide assemblies. The auditorium space at both schools is often used during countywide professional development opportunities. These enhancements will increase staff experiences during these times. Lastly, the current technology systems are antiquated and dysfunctional, requiring the use of audiovisual cards to stabilize plug-in projectors that include hazardous extension cords. It is recommended that the school board approve the purchase of sound and video system upgrades for Philadelphia Middle School and Laurel Park Middle School with a fiscal impact of $136,668.58 from the FY '24 or '25 technology and instruction budget, and that would be divided equally among both middle schools.
Question, comment from the board?
But I'm glad to see that we are upgrading law. We struggled with that, and we tested this when we were there, trying to patch the old
Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Hardy. I'm not shocked by either the motion or the second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, unanimous. We are now up to authorization of signatures in the absence of the superintendent. Dr. Blake Lewis.
If the board is okay, I will remain seated here. The Virginia Department of Education requires annual action by the school board to authorize someone to sign official documents in the absence of the superintendent. The VDOE will be notified of such board action, and the authorization signatures will be on file as prerequisites to processing reimbursements and other financial correspondence. It is recommended that Mrs. Lisa Milner, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, be authorized to sign all Virginia Department of Education correspondence, reports, documents, requisitions, and other financial correspondence in the absence of the superintendent for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th of 2025.
And as I recall, this is kind of the case for quite a while.
It has been, yes.
So, any questions, comments, or action from the board? All right, do I have a motion? Motion by Mrs. Durden, second by Mr. Gravely. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. I do enjoy the double hands, especially on a motion by yourself. But anyway, passes unanimously. We are over to approval to award contract to Baker Gas.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Perry County Public Schools is part of the Region 3 GoTech program. We presented a grant to you on last month in which you approved. It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of welding equipment from Baker's Gas in the amount of $101,310 to complete the mobile lab parts for Baskin Magnet High School. Baker's Gas was the lowest quote obtained during this process. And again, the grant was already approved. We had to bring this item back to you because it exceeded $100,000. This is 100% grant reimbursement.
Thank you, Mrs. Millman. Any questions, comments, so from the board? All right, do you have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Arthur, do you have a second? Second by Mr. Hardy. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Mrs. Milton. All right, unanimous. Thank you very much, Mrs. Milton. We just got you, you're bouncing all over with this. We are up to award of office supply request, and Dr. Boone.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. A request for proposal was issued for office supply items. The contract is for 1 year starting July 1st, with the option to renew for up to 7 additional years. Any cost increases for subsequent years must be consistent with the Consumer Price Index, and no midterm price increases will be allowed. 2 vendors responded, Bassett Office Supply and S&K Office Products. It is recommended that RFP 24-04243-A283 for the contract for office supplies be awarded to Bassett Office Supply. It is also recommended that the division be authorized to exercise subsequent renewals in accordance with the terms of the contract. Fiscal impact is an estimated expenditures per fiscal year of $430,000, and that's among all the school's expenditures.
Questions or comments from the board? If no questions or comments, do we have a motion? Have a motion by Mrs. Garden to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gradley. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. I like you got the hands up before I even asked this time.
No, they put their.
I got you still. But I'm just saying, my signal, you get me to speak. All right, so now we're up to award of contract for the provision of cafeteria non-food items. Also, Dr. Brown.
The school nutrition program issued an invitation for bids for the provision of non-food items. 1 response was returned. The 1 response was from General Sales of Virginia, the current supplier of non-food items and cafeterias. General Sales is a vendor in good standing with the nutrition department. They have been providing excellent service over the past 5 years from this company. It is recommended that bid number 24-05083 3116 for the contract for provision of non-food items be awarded to General Sales of Virginia located in Roanoke for the 2024-25 school year with the option to renew for 4 additional years. The approximate cost per school year is around $106,000 out of the school nutrition budget.
Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the award of contract provision of cafeteria.
We have a motion. Motion by Mrs. Durden. I know that you got it all. Motion by Mrs. Durden. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hardy. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, unanimous, thank you. I would just joke, Mr. Zaire always liked talking about the cafeteria motions along with the recess motions were his favorite. So, we are up to approval to purchase weapons detection systems, also Dr. Ben.
We are recommending the purchase of weapon detection systems for our secondary schools. The Open Gate system was specifically designed as a result of feedback from the NFL, professional sports stadiums and teams, as well as event venues like Disney and Universal. They were looking for a solution that would enable specific weapons detection and visitor throughput by significantly reducing the nuisance alarm rate while still accurately detecting weapons only. So we're looking at purchasing a system that's only going to detect weapons and not every metal. In a continuous effort to provide a safe school environment for all activities for students, staff, and community, it is recommended that the above-mentioned weapons detection systems be purchased for all secondary schools using Virginia Contract 008624. The fiscal impact for all the systems would be right above $400,000. And we are looking at purchasing one for CCL as well.
Questions or comments from the board?
I have a comment, and I'd just like to say I appreciate, I know that, this isn't a meeting to approve, but we have received information over months of you all looking into it, knowing that it is the best thing and breakdown in schools and all that, so it's definitely a well thought out process. I appreciate all the work you put into it, visiting other schools that have it and seeing how it works.
I appreciate that, Mr. Durden. I do want to point out, this wouldn't start the first day of school. We would be planning this over the summer, make sure we're doing our due diligence, so when we do roll it out, it's effective and for all schools and communication going out to parents. We want this to be a good process as we do.
So for the record, the systems that we purchased last year, what are we gonna do with those? And I agree that I looked at everything, I think it's a good system, and I hope in 2 years we don't have to come back
Well,
and purchase another system.
both good questions and a good comment. The good thing about these systems is that we purchase these outright. They do have a competitor where you have to purchase annual software. With the systems we already have, if somebody goes through the new systems and it sets it off, so that we don't slow down the traffic coming through, like for example at a football game, we can set that system to the side and then they pass that system as well as a secondary source. We can also use those at our elementary schools as well later on for different parent events.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. If not, do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Durden. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, unanimous. We are up to, yet again, Dr. Boone, this time with the FY25 budget. Been a busy time for you.
Yes. Right now I am presenting the FY25 budget amendments that came about with the budget that was passed by the General Assembly on May 13th. We actually got our numbers from the Virginia Department of Education last Wednesday on May 29th. Just a summary, the General Assembly convened on May 13th. The House and Senate both passed the FY '24 budget and the biennial budget. Governor Youngkin signed both chapters of the budget, removing state-funded grants such as Governor's School and Alternative Education. The increase in state revenue compared to the governor's budget to the General Assembly budget that was passed will be $7,467,000. The total increase of the local share for the General Assembly budget compared to the governor's introduced budget will be $1,837,000. Because of the increase in revenue from both the state revenue that will be coming in and the local share increase, we do have significant budget adjustments. There are large increases in the at-risk funding that we will be receiving. The allocation for the FY '25 compensation increases that have already been implemented. Increases in instruction to support additional school-based staff. Increases in education and rec and capital outlay for all schools to support teaching and learning. With this item, we're looking at increasing the school's education and capital outlay accounts by 25%. Increases in instruction for additional EL and special education staffing needs. Absorption of various grant-funded positions. For example, some of the reading teachers that we had in Title I, we're going to absorb that into this budget. Funding for professional development to support teaching and learning. We do have increases in our maintenance accounts for all the schools to support the learning environment. Increases due to the rising costs of utilities and fuel. Increases to transportation to support a signing bonus for new drivers for the new school year. Increases to transportation to support hiring additional aides for our buses. And then we have increases in technology for infrastructure, or in other words, networking needs. This is the calculation tool that we did receive from the Virginia Department of Education. I do want to point out down here at the bottom, you can see that the state revenue that's going to be coming in when you include the grants is around $81 million. But the total local share that will be required to support these programs is $20,114,000. So a summary of the state funding from past fiscal year, FY '24 to FY '25. For overall, the total increase in state funding, if you look at all the categories, is going to be this bottom number, $9,688,000. That's our increase from last year's budget to this year's budget from the state. For local funding, we have to take into consideration the local share. With the local share, facilities does not count towards what we report to the state. So we have to take into account that local share and what needs to be given in addition in order for us to have a facilities budget. So for this slide, you will see that the local share that we are requesting is the same local share that we requested back in March, which would be the $23,987,617. And I'll go into more information about that here in a few minutes. So for a summary of the total revenue, from our state accounts, we have $80 million. Local funding, again, the $23,987,000. Grants, $11 million. Other revenue, $1.7 million. So our total projected budget is $116,838,000 for FY '25. For our expenditure categories, what this looks like is an increase in instruction of $9.5 million. For our admin and attendance and health account, an increase of $488,000. For pupil transportation, an increase of about $1.1 million. For operation and maintenance, $1.8 million. For facilities, it would be an increase of around $400,000. For debt services, it would be an increase of $134,000. And for technology, it would be an increase of approximately $750,000. So total increase again from last year's budget to this year's budget being about approximately $14 million. So a historical record of our state and local funding. I do want to point out in FY '24, the local share was $16,297,000. And with the General Assembly budget, the local share that's required from the state government has increased by around $4 million to $20,114,000. If you look at last year's local leeway funding, what they gave us above the local share, it was $3,053,000. So the total local effort last year was $19,351,000. So their total above the local share was around 15.7%. For this year, the local required share is $20,114,000. The local leeway that we would be requesting is $3,873,000. So about $800,000 above what we requested last year in local leeway. But that is right in line with the percentage above the local share for the local leeway of where we've been the past 3 years. So just a local leeway comparison from the governor's budget to the General Assembly budget. The local leeway that we were requesting in the spring was about $5.7 million for FY25, with a variance from the current school year of $2.6 million. With the increase of the local share from the General Assembly, by asking the same amount that we asked for in the spring, this local leeway would actually be $819,000. So the local leeway would be less with the increase in the local share from the state government. So kind of to put this all together and how it impacts our facilities budget, in March of 2024, the school board passed the budget with the local revenue requested of $23,987,000. The Board of Supervisors passed the budget with the local revenue given of $21,635,000. On May of the 13th, the General Assembly passed their budget with the local share being $20,114,000. We have to factor in debt services into this equation. Debt services does not count towards our local share, and the state government does not fund debt services. So this number is included with what the local government has to give us as a school division. So our debt service payment is $2,650,000. So when you take all that into the equation, you have a local share required by the state, $20,114,000, plus debt services that is not funded by the state that the local government has to pay, which is $2,650,000. So that equals $22,764,000. So the total revenue that we requested from the Board of Supervisors originally was $23,987,617. So we take the total requested and we subtract out the local share and the debt services, and that leaves us with $1,223,000, and that would all go towards our facilities line, and that would actually be the facilities budget that we are requesting. So for a comparison of the governor's budget that was passed in the spring to what we're presenting now, from the state government, we have an increase in revenue of $7,467,000. From the local government, asking for the same number, it would be an increase of $2,352,000. For grants, there's no increase. Other revenue, there's no increase. For total revenue, it's a total revenue increase from the spring budget, $9,819,000. So for the amendments to our expenditure categories, for instruction, that would be an increase of $6.1 million. Administration, $214,000. Pupil transportation, $410,000. Maintenance, $1,380,000. Facilities would be an increase of $1,123,000. For technology, it would be an increase of $505,000. Again, for a total increase of $9,819,000. That was a lot of information.
And there will be comments and questions, I guarantee it. But I'll leave it open to the rest of the board first.
I do want to point out that attached with the fact sheet is our updated budget book. It shows all the areas where we did make amendments to the budget, so everything's very transparent. There's also an appropriation sheet showing line for line where these adjustments were made. So I do want to point that out.
I have a comment.
Yes.
First, I know we just got this information, which means you just got this information, and the amount of time it just took us as a board to review it, I cannot even imagine how much time it took for all of you to create it. So thank you, as always, every year for your last minute overtime, hard work you and the finance department. There are a lot of things I'm really excited about in this budget. The facilities, maintenance, I hope Mr. Scott too. I hope it goes over well on the capital outlay for each of the schools.
guess I'll go next.
There we go.
No, just a comment too, and just for the record as well, I know you listed a lot of the categories, that we're gonna make those adjustments, and I just want to make sure that, again, for the record, that's not an all-inclusive list, and that later on, there may be something that surfaces that we may have to go back and make an adjustment to. So I just want that to be known. In case we have to, increase a pay scale for a certain group, this type of stuff. Right. Right, that, all right. And I guess, I like what I'm seeing, and I guess the question is, well, we have to rely on our board of supervisors, and I assume that we had conversations, is this something that's gonna be at the next meeting? Do we know?
Yes, sir, we've had.
So we need to be present at the next meeting?
We have had conversations with the county manager this week and made him aware of what our budget would be, what we would be sending over to them, for their approval. I don't think that the entire Board of Supervisors is on board with our total requested ask as has been presented by Dr. Boo today. So that is where it stands.
So, just say that part of my comments, and you hit one of them right there, Mr. Gravity, and I also echo Mrs. Berger's comments, and thank you all for your hard work on this. I've previously said we were around 1 of 15, I'd say we're around 4 at this point. We'll address this, we'll have the additional meeting with them, the pledge to reconsider, both, now that we have a state budget and as well as, our pending request on lump sum funding and the ability for that to potentially help address, some of this, particularly if they come short of funding our ask. So there's a lot to unpack and consider there, and as Dr. Blake Lewis indicated, there's varying degrees of support for that. And then amusingly, and I'll look to our attorney, there's apparently additional education needed as to what is and isn't able to be done with our funding, and whether that be by us or by them or what have you.
All of the above?
Yeah, all of the above. I'm just presenting, this is the feedback that Dr. Blake Lewis and I have received. So just making that aware. Appreciate your support in conveying that message appropriately. So just presenting all that, and thank you, Dr. Boone, on, I know you've poured a lot of time into this as well. So any other questions, comments from anybody on the board? All right. If not, do we have a motion?
So move.
All right, yeah, Mr. Gravely, I think got the motion in, Mrs. Durden got the second in. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, unanimous, thank you very much. And I believe we are up to superintendent report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my superintendent's monthly highlights is short this month. I did add some photographs in from our 2 graduation programs, so I hope that board members have been able to access that. And it was a really wonderful experience for me as my first graduation as Henry County School Superintendent. So I was able to congratulate our student board member, Ms. Cochran, as she crossed the stage. I look forward to congratulating Ms. Patel this coming school year. Definitely a wonderful time, and just captured that with some photographs to share with you all. Looking at the month ahead, I am currently in the process of completing summative evaluations of principals, so that is an ongoing process through the month, and we'll have those closed out before the end of June. Just to make the board aware, on June 13th and 14th, I will be attending a research symposium in Washington, D.C., just looking at some new innovative technology technology and software programs that are available for education. On June 18th, I have a follow-up meeting with the Harvest Foundation as part of a Thriving Youth Advisory Board with Virginia Tech. And so they are working through Virginia Tech to do some surveying among the community as to what young people want to see happening in our community to help our young people feel that they have the opportunity to thrive in Henry County. So I'm looking forward to participating in that work. On June 20th, just as a reminder, we do have our special called board meeting that we will use to close out our fiscal, initiatives for this year. And then June 26th, the Region 6 superintendents host an annual legislative luncheon. So I have reached out to Delegate Phillips, and he has confirmed his attendance. And so this will be all of Region 6 superintendents participating, along with the different delegates and senators from the Commonwealth who represent our area. On June the 29th through the 7th, I'm going to be taking a much-needed vacation, so I will be available by phone and by email, but you will not see me here in the county for that week. And then I did go ahead and add just another time the PowerPoint that I will be presenting in closed session for my evaluation process this year. And as a reminder, I did share that with you all earlier in a board gram, but wanted it here for quick reference if you needed it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we are up to committee reports. So historically, I have started next committee with Mr. Bradley and Mr. Walker.
But yes, Mr. Hawk and I talked with Dr. Blake Lewis about something that I discovered over the last couple of weeks. And since we just had a presentation on security upgrades and what we need to do, and I guess it may be directed towards Ms. Fulcher, I don't know. But anyway, what's coming down the pipe, and the board know as well, the DOJ is requiring school divisions and obviously local governments as well to make sure that our websites are ADA compliant. All right, and when I learned the information, did some background research, had a little assistant with my daughter as well, you know, and I brought it to Dr. Blake Lewis's attention in that we have about another couple of years to make sure that, again, whatever we send out is ADA compliant, and if not, then, you know, we can be held accountable. So, with that being said, sharing the information, I don't know, Ms. Fulcher, if you had an opportunity to review any of that?
Yes, sir. I did share that information with Ms. Fulcher and passed on the article that you shared as well. And so I thank you and Mr. Alker for bringing that to our attention. Ms. Fulcher, can you give us an update?
Yes. So our current website is new. We just transitioned over to Find Site. They are ADA compliant. However, human error can sometimes make it not ADA compliant. For instance, if I upload a picture and don't give it an alternate text, then it's no longer ADA compliant. So they also have a feature on their software to periodically scan to make sure that we are ADA compliant. And then if we're not, they will share in an email with us about what we need to do to fix that. So we are lucky that they are monitoring that for us.
Right. Yeah, I scan that too, see what. We're close, a few little things, but we got 2 years to fix everything, so, you know, I thought maybe just bring it to our attention now and give us time to get everything aligned. Good.
Bill's committee reports.
That's it.
So then we go to Mrs. Durden and Mrs. Welding.
We met earlier this week with Finance and Facilities Committee with Dr. Boone, and as usual for this time of the year, we review everything we're going to go over in this meeting. Dr. Boone always goes over it to questions that may come up will be addressed, or that it's very clear and concise, which it always is. The only thing I will add, and I'll ask Ms. Whitlow if she wants to add anything as well, is that, Mr. Growley, I did discuss with Dr. Green yesterday, if this budget was approved to go to the board of supervisors, that he would, in fact, need the senior leadership to look at the substitute pay schedule for the teachers and parapros within the school, so that is not something that's going to happen. Does Ms. Whitlow have anything that she wants to add? She's in there. Okay.
Thank you both. And I'll eventually get to where I remember that it's Finance and Facilities Committee, because I want to make the Budget Committee and a bunch of other things, but, thank you both for that. We ended up there. Mr. Hardy and Mr. Brenner, your committee.
Mrs. Bricker and I, we did not have a committee report this month, but we will say in July, for the beautification and so on, we were able to do as we would like to do so.
And I understand the topic, for July, at least one of which will be the fundraiser concern.
Yes, sir.
All right. If nothing else, we are up to board celebrations. So, I'm going to go a little out of my normal cadence, because I only put myself last. And I'm also going to do something a little unusual that I've expressed to the board what I was going to do. And that is, Mr. Gravely's going to be the chairman for just a moment. And the VSBA reached out to me looking among the chairs of the various boards and looking for nominees for the regional member of the year, the advocate for education, some of the other recognition programs. And some of you reached out about that as well, with various potential considerations and so forth. And the factors to be considered there are your participation in VSBA training events and so forth, as well as your involvement at your local schools towards achievement, PTOs, various continuing schools, so on and so forth. And this year, I got this award in 2020. I don't ever need it again. And I thank the board for the fact that it honored me once before. In my opinion, based on Mr. Hardy has attended nearly every VSBA event this year and has gone to practically, I don't know how he goes about every PTO and everything else, but he does. I want to make a motion to nominate Mr. Hardy as our candidate for the regional member of the year. The board has to have a motion, a second, an approval, and we submit a application, I believe sometime next month. And functionally, we put a 300 or so word nomination in while we're nominating them, and list off what he's done. So that's functionally what this is, and I'd like to make a motion to nominate him. So since I'm making a motion, I can't be the chair for that moment. So all right, so there you go, Mr. Graham, you're chairman for now.
All right, been properly motioned by Mr. Martin that Mr. Hardy represents Henry County Public Schools, on the VSBA
Regional member of the year.
Regional Member of the Year. It's been seconded by Ms. Burton. Call for the question. And all those in favor, you sign of aye. Oh, show of hands.
Yeah,
I'm
we gotta
sorry.
show of hands.
Show of hands. I'm so yes. All right, did I see two? Okay, so motion is carried 6-7.
Well, Mr. Hardy abstained.
Oh,
since
that's
it's about
right,
himself.
that's right, okay. All right,
It directly deals with the,
yeah, right, one abstention,
Yep.
one abstention.
All right.
All right. motion carried.
Congratulations, Mr. Hardy.
All right, I just want to say again, thank you all for the support of that, and the other item I'll mention, I recognize I kind of skipped myself in committee reports here, but I will say that the Lions Club fundraiser for the Medicine Playground is going quite well. In fact, one of the members there made a $10,000 personal donation. So there is more than $70,000 earmarked in the Lions Charity account for Meadowview's playground initiative. They're also planning on having a meeting. In fact, I just got a text asking me if I can attend a meeting in a couple days. It's just not Lake about additional support for that. So I think that that's going to go quite well, meet all of its intended. Keeping Dr. Blake Lewis updated because I think we'll see a lot of support, not only for this, but whether it be our foundation or other fundraiser initiatives. Admittedly, it might not go as quickly and easily as this one has, but I think that there's a lot of support in our community for our schools and our programs, and I'm very appreciative of that. And happy to relay that. So those are my primary things, and of course, I also want to say really quickly. Congratulations to Ms. Cochran again on graduating, and happy to still have you around even though it's summer and you graduated and everything. So just wanted to recognize that, and I think that's it for me for now. So Mr. Gravely.
Just want to again congratulate Lady there on graduation, and I just want to say thank you for your service on our board. You've been, I think, exemplified what we are looking for in our students. Your voice has not been unnoticed. Anytime if you see anything, that we need to fix, share from the student standpoint. So thank you for your service. Thank you. May I have one more week, maybe? Just say
I don't
first of
know,
July.
because I joined in July, and he was present at the July, so I might have one more.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Unless we have.
Yeah.
Unless she's already off to school.
Yeah. Thanks. And just to echo Dr. Blake Lewis's comments about graduations, I think the graduations went well from what I've seen. And kudos to all our graduating students. Hope that a lot of them come back and eventually work for us. I noticed in the paper, I think about a couple of days ago, there were quite a few local graduates, and a lot of them were in education, so I've been looking at our personnel list trying to see these names. But that's all I have.
Appreciate that. The only thing I add there that I forgot to say is, I was recently at the VSBA Board of Directors meeting, and on that board, I remain as the former president and committee chair, but I don't have a direct vote at this time. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I gotta tell the student board members that I'm the student board member of the VSBA board. Because it's the same thing, if I can advise, I can comment on things, but I can't motion or vote. So, and I appreciate all you do and what you contribute, whether it be on the camera or off, in terms of giving us advice and feedback. Thank you, Mr. Gravely. Mr. Alden.
I echo what Mr. Bradley said on your graduation. It was a beautiful service. I thought it was wonderful. Also, would like to, Dr. Motley talked about the reading program, and she was talking about it being positive in the next couple of years. And I think we as a board are beginning to see the reading process and projection of going on. Also, I love the calendar. Now my wife will know.
Yeah.
Dr. Boone, you work hard, I know you do. And of course, Mr. Weaver is now involved in that. But I commend you on the work that you've done for the budget, both of you and any others. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Auger. Mrs. Davis.
I would just like to celebrate, of course, the graduations, the student recognitions that we had today, and of course, Lincoln. She mentioned earlier that today's her first day of work once she leaves here, so I'm excited for her, and if she doesn't come one Baptist, remember, you will always be the first student school board member from my high school.
Mr. Hart.
Mr. Chairman and Board, when I make a mistake, I would like to correct that mistake. During the information agenda today, I made a motion on the literacy plan, and it was not needed to be a motion made at that time. So if possible, I would like to withdraw that motion at this time.
All right.
And for it not to appear in the minutes or a comment that I made, please withdraw.
We can have the record reflect that. I will also point out I'm the one that prompted for the motion, so that's a mistake on my part more than yourself, Ms. White. You listened to the chair inaccurately on that one.
Now, my celebrations are kind of long. Please be patient with me, board members, central office, anybody else that may be here. May was a busy month for our school system. It was filled with SOL testing, scholarship and award nights, FFA banquets, field days, and nurses and teachers appreciation week, support staff picnic and recognition, Piedmont regional and state playoffs and the sports team, and of course the biggest and the most important item was the graduation of around 400 students from Magna Vista and Bassett High Schools. I would like to go a little bit deeper, especially in one event, the scholarship and award night at Magna Vista and Bassett High School. Mr. Gravely, our board vice chairman, mentioned last year that we should try hard to encourage our students to apply for scholarships. I think this goal was attained this year and will continue to do so in the future. I do not know, but a vast number of scholarships were awarded this year at the both high schools. I think this trend will continue in the future. I would like to mention that Madam Cotton, our student board member, I would say she walked about 1/2 a mile that night at Magna Vista, picking up vast number of scholarships and awards. Congratulations to a fine young lady, and added a lot to our school board over the last 2 years. Thank you so much. The last thing I would like to say, I want to sincerely thank each board member for your support, choosing me for such a prestigious award. When I assumed my board position, I never thought that I would be selected someday. We have the best school board in Virginia, in my opinion. I can go to each of you and tell you how much you have helped me to become an effective board member. Therefore, Mrs. Berger, Mrs. Burton, Mrs. Woodlow, Mr. Alpha, Vice Chairman Mr. Bradley, and Chairman Mr. Barton, thank you for being most of my heart. Hopefully, I will be a success with the Blue Ridge Region nomination. If there was some way that we could bring Mr. Princess there back to her, I would immediately relinquish my position and ask the board to reinstate him as the Ridgeway Board representative. As we know, that is not possible. Therefore, I will attempt to represent the Ridgeway District as best as there here in Henry County Schools to the best of my ability. Whatever I have done on my 1.5 years on the board, I have done for one main reason. That reason is to support our students to achieve the highest level of education possible. I do believe this school board, central office staff, school administrators, teachers, and all involved in our students' school system have this goal in mind, making it an extraordinary, excellent school system. Thank you, and may blessings continue to flow to Henry County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Well, Ms. Cocker, do you want to go next, or do you want me to pick you last, because, you know, you graduated?
I can go next.
All right.
On that. I just want to say thank you all so much for all the congratulations. I had a really great time serving on the board, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I hope I've made a difference in the school system with my position, especially. I also have a few comments about things that were said this meeting. I also really like the calendar, as Mr. Walker said. I think especially for older parents that might not like check their online calendars much, I think it's very helpful to have it like in your hand. And I know a lot of parents also maybe don't know about the missed days pathway, about like if you miss 5 or more, you get the attendance plan. I think it's very helpful in preventing absenteeism. And then also the literacy plan. I know it was for the younger students, but I also think I like the expansion to the older elementary school grades and middle schools, because as Mr. Bradley said, once you get to like 3rd grade, it's really hard to still make it in other subjects with a low amount of literacy. So I think it's really important that we focus on children who might have to slip through the grades of the literacy as they've gotten older. I think it's important. I would focus on everybody.
Thank you very much. Ms. Patel?
I would just like to congratulate Welding on her graduation and the scholarship that she won. And good luck and good day for school.
Thank you very much. Ms. Whitlow and then Mr. Burner.
Mrs. Whitlow first.
No comments from Mrs. Whitlow. Mrs. Brenner.
Mainly just congratulations to the graduates and especially Lincoln. And, I can't wait to see what you do in the future. And thank you, Dr. Boone, for your hard work on the budget. Ms. Easley, the calendar is a great idea, and I hope that the community utilizes that.
Thank you very much. All right, well, we are up to just a reminder of dates. Certainly as Dr. Blake Lewis already mentioned, you've got the June 20th fiscal year closeout meeting, 9 a.m. Then the regular board meeting on July 11th. Conference-wise, I know the next one will be the Conference on Education. That's also in July. I want to say it's right there. I was going to say it's 23rd or somewhere right in there. And then we also have, and it's been mentioned in the boardrogram, kind of plan for the school board retreat, I believe the 24th. Is that correct? And question of whether that would be morning or evening from some of you all, and currently planning for the NCI board. So if you've got any feedback on that, let myself and Dr. Lewis, et cetera, know. And then we are up to closed session. So we would have a motion to enter closed session for, and it's a lengthy one, including some training from our attorney. But we got 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for discussion of appointments and separation of personnel. 2.2-3711A2 of the Code of Virginia for discussion and consideration of the recommendations for special placement students and religious exemptions. And we have 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia for consultation with our legal counsel pertaining to actual or probable litigation, as well as 22.1-60 and 22.1-60.1, considering the appointment and term of the superintendent, certain contractual matters, and the evaluation of the superintendent. Do we have a motion for this effect? Motion by Mrs. Dirk. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alker. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. There we go. Unanimous, and we are in closed. Thank you very much.